Looking for a sweet 3.5-inch modest build? Let's check out this Jeep Gladiator and all the good stuff we got on it. Hey everybody, it's Bo with X's 4x4, and we build badass Jeeps. Well, today we got this sweet JT in the shop that we recently built. It was back in for some re-gear, so I want to walk around it and show you what makes it so awesome. Let's start with the obvious. What kind of lift does it have on it? This guy wanted a nice modest lift to run some 37-inch trail grapplers. He didn't want to be too high, didn't want to be too low. So he went with a Clayton 3.5-inch lift. There's a couple of different ways to do the Clayton lift. This particular lift uses a dual durometer bushing in the control arms. What's nice about the dual durometer bushings, zero maintenance. So let's take a look at the suspension. We'll lay it out here before we start installing it and what exactly makes it unique or different from other suspensions out there that we've been installing. So first of all, Clayton offers it. This is a 3.5-inch overland kit. So you're familiar with some of the other Gladiator suspensions we're installing in. They come in increments of like 2.5, 4.5, 6.5. This kit right here is at 3.5, so it's between the 2.5 and the 4.5, obviously. I believe you can get this suspension in different styles too with Johnny joints, but this particular one is going to come with the dual durometer bushings in it. And what's really, really nice about these bushings is that they're maintenance free. They're sealed up, so we don't have to worry about all the dirt, water, grime getting inside there and tearing up those joints internally. These are going to be sealed. Once they're out, we just pull the arms, push them out, press in some new bushings, and get the guy back on the road. And the Johnny joints aren't terrible. They're rebuildable. I mean, we rebuild them all the time, but it is kind of nice that you don't have to worry about greasing these to maintain them. Another cool, interesting thing about this is the actual sway bar links on here. They use FK rod ends on them, which is nice. We're used to seeing the rubber poly bushings pressed into sway bar links. These are going to be nice. They're going to give a little bit more flex to them and definitely last longer than those poly bushings. This customer chose Fox 2.0 IFP shocks. These aren't bottom of the barrel shocks by any means, but they're definitely not some King 2.5-inch remote reservoir shocks. They're just a nice middle of the road shock that's going to ride really well for a couple of years, and then you'll have to replace them again. But they're definitely a nice riding shock, and they pair well with the Clayton 3.5-inch springs. One more thing I want to talk about in this kit are the track bars. It comes with front and rear track bars, not a raised track bar bracket, and they use really nice bushings in here. You can tell on this rear, they actually use a Johnny joint on it, which is different from what we're normally seeing in some of the suspension kits for the Gladiators. So this is the Johnny joint right here, as you can see, fully rebuildable, taking those C-clips out, pressing out the rubber, putting new ones in. Overall, really, really solid kit, limited lifetime warranty, made in the USA. Up next, we're going to talk about the wheels and tires. 37-inch Nitto trail grapplers. Big surprise, right? We put them on almost every build that comes through the door. But what's neat about this package is you wrapped around some black Rhino wheels. They don't exactly match the Jeep. Probably if you had a Stingray color, it'd really set it off, but they still look pretty good. I like them better than a polished or a black wheel on this build. I think it just goes together really well with it. Now, he's got some little ones and a wife, so to help get him in and out, as always, these nice rock slide engineering steps are going to help them get in and out, and it looks really well on these Jeeps. I haven't found a step out there that looks nearly as good as these and offers the functionality of his drop down step that, when you add the armor to it, also does well off-road. Now, this isn't something you see every day, and it's not something that we did, but he did. It really finishes out the back end of this Gladiator really well, and we thought it was worth mentioning. From what I understand, this is made by Hulk Off-Road or something like that, but I think it's like $80 to $100.
Dad! Hey, Dad!
Which isn't very much, but it really completes the back of this Jeep, and it looks really, really good. I like it. As you look at this hood, you'll notice that something's different, right? It's the SMB cold air intake. And that's really cool because it's not just for looks, it actually is functional. Probably one of the most functional cold air intakes I've ever seen on anything for that matter. You can see, I'll notice on the passenger side over here, that intake is actually dumping straight into this box, but it's not open in any way. It's actually got a rubber gasket right here. So when the hood's closed, it's sealing it up. On this side, you can see that it's venting. It's actually pulling air, cool air in through here and dumping it inside the engine bay. So it's actually keeping the engine cool while providing cool air to the intake. Pretty cool. To give us more clearance for those 37s, customer installed these American Adventure Lab lights up front, which eliminates the inner part of the fender well and gives us a lot more clearance for those 37s. We're seeing a lot of people do this as opposed to going to like a 4.5 inch lift. They'll do the 3.5 and then they'll do these American Adventure Lab or some other brand of clearance for the fenders. It really helps us get more clearance in there and avoid fender rub. Well, that's a wrap on this build. Oh wait, we did put 513 gears in there. Don't forget guys, when you're putting bigger tires on this thing, you've got to re-gear it. And 513s with 37s, I really like it. For more videos on Jeeps and other cool off-road stuff, click here.